Welcome to Sunday School for CEOs, where your next level in business starts with a mind aligned with God as boss. I am Jenny Bitner, ordained spiritual minister and business leader of over 20 years. I have chased the titles, the money, the recognition, only to realize that the real pursuit is in experiencing mind miracles every day. And this podcast is here to show you how. This is real life with real stories from real business owners and getting to see real shifts from fear to love. So let's dive in. Okay. So I have a question here from a real entrepreneur with a real problem that a lot of people face. And I want to give you my perspective on this according to A Course in Miracles, which is my foundation in my ministry. Okay. So here's the question. Sometimes I feel resentful when I over deliver. I price a package to sell, a client buys it, and then I feel I didn't charge enough for what they want out of me. Now I'm resenting doing the work because I know very well I could have charged more for the service. How do I remove my frustration of always feeling like I'm underpricing myself, even though I'm getting business? Okay. Whoo-wee. This is a good one because how often that I see different coaches or consultants or service providers who are looking at the pricing game again measured up against their worth. Is this is your first time hearing one of my podcast episodes, then this may be the first conversation you're experiencing like this, but I've actually done quite a few responses to the pricing dilemma. Quite a few of these episodes are actually built around this pricing conversation because I do actually see this as a cornerstone to how business owners, service providers, when they're launching their business, when they're launching a new offer, or just when they're trying to get their groundedness in their business is like that whole question around, well, how do I charge for this so that it feels good for me, but also though so that I actually can attract in some clients. And so here's how I want us to look at this. Resentment is always a signal. Not that someone else has done something wrong, but that we have become separated from our own peace. Because no one can take from us what we have not first agreed to give. And it's not about blame, it's about reclaiming our power. So if you're feeling resentful, the actual first question isn't, how do I get my clients to ask for less stuff? How do I get my clients to stop asking for so much or stop expecting me to give them so much? The question is, where did I abandon myself before I ever sent the proposal? Because m- many times entrepreneurs are actually unconsciously negotiating with fear, right? So fear says, if I charge what this is really worth, then they won't buy. So we discount, right? We add bonuses, we promise extra access, we over deliver because we're trying to earn our worth instead of simply expressing it. Then once the client says yes, the fear flips into resentment. So it started as fear they won't buy. So we overpromise, overpromise, overpromise. And then once the client does say yes, that fear just transmutes into resentment. And the client didn't create the resentment. The resentment was born the moment we said yes to something our inner wisdom wasn't nudging us to do. So what we want to remember is that giving and receiving is the same thing. It's one act. And it doesn't mean that we give until we're exhausted because love will never be a sacrifice. Anything being expressed through love is never going to feel like a sacrifice because love would never ask you to betray yourself so someone else can feel supported. When giving comes from fear of losing the sale, that's when it drains you. When giving comes from alignment, it energizes you. So, one of the ego's favorite stories is that your value increases by how much you produce, right? Do more, be more, have more. That's how people will see you. That's how people will label you as successful. That's one of the ego's favorite stories. But the Holy Spirit will give you a different perspective on this. Your value was established by God, and it cannot be increased by overworking, and it can't be diminished by setting healthy boundaries, because you yourself do not become more worthy because you answered another text message at 9:30 at night. You don't become more loving because you just gave away another hour for free. So sometimes we're thinking to ourselves like, "Huh, I'm so generous." But we may call that generosity, and it's actually just like fear wearing a halo, right? I'm so generous. Meanwhile, we're like, "Oh my god, I only did this to get the sale, I wanted the money." Right? So instead of asking, "How do I stop resenting my clients?" It's not about resenting your clients. Ask, "How can I become so honest with myself that I create offers I feel joyful delivering?" And that may mean raising your prices. It may mean narrowing your scope of work. It may mean being so clear in defining what's included and what's not. And the thing is that those are not unloving business decisions, and that's what I want you just to be very well aware of. It's creating relationships where both people know what they're saying yes to, both you and the client. And that's all there is, because there are clients out there who want exactly what you have. Listen, I have been in the coaching industry very full on for the last 5 years, but I entered in hiring my own coaches about 10 years ago, and there wasn't really an industry to be part of, if you will. As much. There were certain ecosystems definitely that were present. And then COVID, I feel, really started to create more of an industry where a lot of people came to the scene and started wanting to become coaches based on what was that thing that they really truly felt that they could show up and help people through. What was their expertise that they wanted to get into the market and help people with? And what I really just want to express here is that, in this space, you can see prices ranging from $100 an hour to $11,000 an hour. I actually personally work in close proximity with a coach, and that is her price point is $11,111 an hour. And she is amazing. This one particular coach has done over 100 million in coaching sales since 2017, and she is unreal, awesome. And I've been in her world for 5 years, and I will tell you that people still purchase at that $11,000 price point. She didn't start there though, and she built that price point because of supply and demand. So she has set herself at a price point that basically says, I do not take on one-to-one clients. I do not do 1 hour, one-off sessions, but I've priced it in a way that if the right client were to hear that price and still wanted to say yes, I'll give them that hour. Right? And she still has people who do purchase for $11,000 for that hour. And she's great. Fantastic. And then I also know certain coaches that charge $150 per session for a life-changing 1 hour session. And what I want to remind you is that really the true miracle is in you stopping yourself from making agreements that your future self is gonna resent. That basically just means that you're building your business through the lens of fear instead of following God's nudges. And when you build your business from peace instead of this proving energy, your pricing just becomes an extension of clarity, not insecurity. And that's where everything starts to feel really, 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 really good. And I will say that I've even recently done this myself where I had a client come in on a very clear package, and I couldn't help but continue to overgive within the space, and I didn't know why, but I always just trust because for me, God is my boss. And so she came in on a package, on a smaller package, and I just couldn't help myself. I just kept giving more and being in way more than the deliverables were, and I kept finding myself going into the chat and doing more work and helping and getting on calls, and I couldn't help it. It was just this urge inside of me to do it, and I didn't feel resentful towards her. I was choosing to do that, and she was like, "Wow, I am just thank you. Thank you for all this extra support." And I'm like, "I just feel really called to do this. Like, I feel in this with you." And then reached out to me and said, "Well, how can I actually keep you like this?" And I said, "Well, this is more of an operations manager role that I've just been doing for you, and I just don't know why I have felt called to really just be in here with you, but this is more operations. Like, we're talking more than double what you're paying right now, if I were to keep going like this." I just really this week I just couldn't help myself. Like, I've needed to get in and do the things because I knew I could help you where my the rest of my team was, doing the work, but I just knew if I got in, I could really just like, progress it. And it wasn't because I was hoping she would hire me for more. It wasn't because of any of that. And she said, "Well, quote me. What would it cost?" I sat with it. I asked God. I gave it to him. I said, "Okay, this is where we're at. This is what this client is asking for." And then the price came in 3 times, like just clear, 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 clear. And then I did a gut check. It felt super light. And so I went back to her and said, "Okay, just had a discussion with God, my man, my boss. This is what the price came in at, and this is what it would be." She said, "Okay, let's do it." And so we just upgraded her package literally this morning. And we put it on it just for 2 months. That's what I felt called to. I said, "Listen, it's just I feel like what came through for me was this price and for 2 months. And then we can reassess, and you can go back to your old pricing after 2 months. You can continue on this. I don't even know what it'll be, but we'll have to check back in at that point because I don't make the rules. I'm just following guidance." And so it was interesting because even with it, I was like, "And I'm getting guidance that it's gonna include this." And she was like, "Whoa, okay, that's amazing." And I'm sitting there going, "So interesting." I know the old me would have been like, "What? Like, you're gonna do all of that for this?" And I'm like, "That was the guidance I was given." And so I feel clear and clean about that. It doesn't matter if my girlfriend next door or another coach is charging quadruple the price of that to do the same thing, or quadruple the price less to do the same thing. It doesn't matter because I'm not making the decision anymore. I am checking in with spirit every single step of the way, and spirit is giving me my guidance and knowing I'll be taken care of. And then I also got this nudge that it's like with this upgraded package, I also got the nudge that like I'm only going to take on one other client simultaneously with this client. And that the reason this client came through was actually to give me a lot of space. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense." And so all of my decisions now are just it's literally just feeling for the nudge, listening to the wisdom, listening to the inner guidance, and then I wouldn't hold that against my client after she says yes, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, wow, you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot for that." Why would I do that? I'm the one that offered it. So when we make these decisions and we go from peace of mind and we do our check-in with God, and we're the one that makes the agreement and we're doing the agreement from peace, not from fear, everything changes. So this is a you thing, not a client thing. This is a you thing. And boundaries are healthy, clarity is kind, and we just need to do our internal checks a lot better before we start to offer what it is we're here to offer. and do it from love. Do it from an extension of service. And everything will be taken care of when you begin to do it that way. Okay, so this particular episode, if this spoke to you, it was meant for you. So I invite you to stay close, subscribe, and I will keep bringing you inside all of the mind miracles. Till next time.